Okay, we'll move on to number 3 on page 427 for chapter 13. In this problem, we are still looking at the adjusted winner procedure, and what we are looking at here are two roommates. And unfortunately, I usually do a fun activity in class with this and pick two people in class and we do something similar, but we're not together in class right now. So right now, we'll just take the book example. And we have these two roommates, and we're looking at a stereo level, whether or not you can smoke, the party guidelines, the cleanliness of the room, alcohol consumption in the room. Now this one is obsolete, but it was still in the book. I mean, it says phone use. It used to be when you were in college, you had a phone that you shared with your roommate. Now everybody has a cell phone. Lights out time, so that's when you're going to keep things quiet after a certain hour, and then some visitor regulations on when people can come in and out. So these are the areas that are in question. So they put their point values, and after they put down their point values, we want to make sure that they add up to be 100. And once we know that they add up to be 100, then that's all we use that part for. We don't use that 100 for anything else. Now we will go through and we will allocate each row to the highest number. Now notice we have a tie here. So that tie, we're going to wait a minute. And let's do our total without the tie. So without the tie, we have 66 over here. And on this side, we have 30, 50, 55. Okay? So now we want to take a look and see whether or not we have Mike having the highest value. If we take that 15 and we give it to Phil, though, it would take him to 70. And that would make him higher than Mike. And you can never allocate something that is going to move the other person above the person who had the highest points. So that tells us that this is going to be what we're going to split. So I'm going to put x with one and 1 minus x with the other. Now, this is a little different than the other problems that we've done, because here we're going to have our 66 plus 15x, but on this side we always had to subtract this amount from the total. Well, we don't have to do that here because we never did add it into that total. So we are going to use the number 55, and then we're going to take 15 times 1 minus x. I'm going to simplify my equation. I'm going to combine my constants here. And then, like before, I'm going to take my variable to one side and then my numbers to the other side. So I'm going to add 15x to both sides. And I will have 30x. But I'm also going to subtract 66 from both sides. And that will give me 4. Continuing to solve for x. And I'll reduce and I get 2/15. Now, I want to go back up to where my x is. So that means 2/15 is for Mike. We want to know what kind of percentage is that. So if I take 2 divided by 15, I get about 13%. So when it comes to alcohol consumption, Mike has about 13% control. And you might say, well, what does that mean? Well, maybe you take the days of the week and you split them up, and he has 13% of the days of the week, and then Phil has the other. I don't know. It's a tricky thing. And then Phil, since he has 2 15ths, Phil will have 13 15ths. And again, 13 15ths should be 100 minus 13. And it's 87%. Okay, so Phil has 87% of the control and Mike has 13% of the control. Now, let's start taking a look at what we're going to allocate. We have Mike. Mike gets to choose the party regulations or the party policy, the book says. Also, Mike is the one who's in charge of the cleanliness of the room. And Mike also picks the lights out time. In addition to that, he has 13% control over alcohol use. Phil, on the other hand, he gets to choose a stereo level, which again is kind of an obsolete thing now since everybody has headphones. The smoking policy, which honestly is probably obsolete too because you're really not allowed to smoke in most places. The phone use. So if there's still a landline around, he has control over the use of the phone. And the visitor policy. And then in addition to that, he is in control of 87% of alcohol use. Okay, so now the only thing we have to make sure of up here is that our numbers jive here. We're still not even. So I have to take 2 15ths times 15. And again, I always like to put in parentheses here. Just makes me feel better. Okay, so that 2 15ths times 15 obviously is 2. So I'm going to add 2 onto this, and this becomes 68. Then if I take 15 times 13 15ths, you notice again the 15s will reduce, and you're left with 13. So if I add 13 onto my 55, I also get 68. So these are equal. So it is equitable as far as numbers go. And again, that has no value. It just lets you know that as far as their number choices, that they're both getting the same amount according to what's important to them. Okay, so here you go. So you can text, phone, or email me if you have any other questions.